So you're listening to the Good Morning Portugal live stream. We're a podcast and a YouTube channel as well, and we have a news feed on Twitter as well, My Portugal News. And do please shout out, if you're tuned in, where you are, what's going for you, what's on your mind about the coronavirus. For me, I think it's really important to kind of get prepared, be practical. I mentioned the Scouts before. What's their credo? Be prepared. I think it's really good advice at the moment. And also to think about what lies beyond this scenario, this event. And as I keep saying, it's more than the illness. It's the impact that the phenomenon is having on the globalized world as we know it. I think that we need to keep a good eye on. It's very likely that the economies of all countries will be seriously affected by this, supply chains, all the rest of it. And that would seem like bad news, but the good news is, I think we do have the wherewithal to organize ourselves and to cooperate, and the best things come out of people in the darkest of times, it would appear. So we do have a lot of potential here to strangely, and I think this is true for a lot of people who've come to Portugal, they come here to live a particular kind of life, maybe a quieter life, a better quality of life, sunshine, fresh air, grow your own food and that. And this situation is kind of providing a new emphasis or access on that, I think, in how we're organizing ourselves, how we're being more self-reliant, how we're being more reliant on our local communities, as well as our globalized food supply chains. And this is a little bit of a wake-up call, I think, around that. But I think Portugal's such a beautiful place in terms of community spirit and how people look after each other on a local level. As many people report, it's almost a cliche, isn't it? But the bucket of fruit and veg on your doorstep when you least expect it, and the generosity of people. That's where we're at. That's what we've got to look at. They're the people we need to be right now, I think, as we face this, because I think the globalized aspects of our economy, business, and so on are going to feel a real squeeze, and we're going to have to be a lot more home-based and homesteadish as well. And certainly we're doing that in Shea Munson at the moment. It's brought on a lot of the things we wanted to do. It's brought it into sort of stark contrast and reality, really, about growing food and making sure that you're an asset to your local community. Anyway, enough of my particular manifesto on that. I think what I'd like to do now is share another article with you. And I'm going to share this because I want to share this for OurNet as well, which is a community-focused social network where I am the chief conversationalist as well. We're looking to create a social network where you can publish, and there are groups, and there's a forum as well, which moves things away from the centralized control that you see on some of the bigger social media platforms. So that's ournet.news, and want to share this particular article for you on Good Morning Portugal and on OurNet as well. And this is the cancel everything idea from The Atlantic, and it's for a couple of days old, but I think the advice is very, very good here. And I will conclude this current broadcast with this article right now, unless anyone brings anything else up for discussion. If you want to use this platform to share your ideas or discuss anything or ask any questions, please do in the comments, and we will address those, and we'll be back most weekday mornings and other times if necessary. So cancel everything. Subtitle: social distancing is the only way to stop the coronavirus, and we must start immediately. And some people have. The Chinese have enforced this, haven't they? We don't yet know, and the Italians are as well, of course. We don't yet know the full ramifications of the novel coronavirus. But three crucial facts have become clear in the first months of this extraordinary global event. And what they add up to is not an invocation to stay calm, as so many politicians around the globe are incessantly suggesting. It is, on the contrary, the case for changing our behavior in radical ways right now. The first fact is that, at least in the initial stages, documented cases of COVID-19 seem to increase in exponential fashion. The hockey stick, looking at the camera up like that. I hope I did that the right way around. I haven't confused you with my poor grasp of graphs and mathematics. But anyway, yes, exponential. On the 23rd of January, China's Hubei province, which contains the city of Wuhan, had 444 confirmed COVID-19 cases, A week later, by the 30th of January, it had 4,903 cases. Another week later, by the 6th of February, it had over 22,000 cases. The same story is now playing out in other countries around the world. Italy had 62 identified cases of COVID-19 on the 22nd of February. It had 888 cases by the 29th of February and 4,636 by the 6th of March. Because the United States has been extremely sluggish in testing patients for the coronavirus, the official tally of 604 likely represents a fraction of the real caseload. And here you see this Atlantic article is obviously premised on an American perspective. But even if we take this number, continues the article, at face value, it suggests that we should prepare to have up to 10 times as many cases a week from today, this was the 10th of March, and up to 100 times as many cases 2 weeks from today. And I think that is what President Trump is endeavoring to cope with in his inimitable way. The second fact is that this disease is deadlier than the flu, to which the honestly ill-informed and the wantonly irresponsible insist on comparing it. And I'm still seeing that. And, I do question myself about this because, it's like, well, whose information do you trust? But I think, you kind of have to put your flag in the ground somewhere, don't you? And go with the best possible expert view that you can perceive and intuit is the right thing. Anyway, back to the article. Early guesstimates made before data were widely available suggested that the fatality rate for the coronavirus might wind up being about 1%. If that guess proves true, the coronavirus is 10 times deadly as the flu, even on those early figures. But there is reason to fear that the fatality rate could be much higher. According to the World Health Organization, the current case fatality rate, a common measure of what portion of confirmed patients die from a particular disease, stands at 3.4%. This figure could be an overstatement because more cases of the disease are less likely to be diagnosed. Or it could be an understatement because many patients have already been diagnosed with the virus but have not yet recovered and may still die. When the coronavirus first spread to South Korea, continues this article in The Atlantic, many observers pointed to the comparatively low death rates in the country to justify undue optimism. In countries with highly developed medical systems, they claimed, a smaller portion of patients would die. But while more than half of all diagnosed patients in China have now been cured, most South Korean patients are still in the throes of the disease. Of the 7,478 confirmed cases, only 118 have recovered. The low death rate may yet rise. Meanwhile, the news from Italy, another country with a highly developed medical system, has so far been shockingly bad. In the affluent region of Lombardy, for example, there have been 7,375 confirmed cases of the virus as of Sunday. Of those patients, 622 had recovered, 366 had died, and the majority were still sick. Even under the highly implausible assumption that all of the still sick make a full recovery, this would suggest a case fatality rate of 5%, significantly higher, not lower, than in China. The third fact is that so far only one measure has been effective against the coronavirus: extreme social distancing. And this is the meat of the article. Before China cancelled all public gatherings, asked most citizens to self-quarantine, and sealed off the most heavily affected region, the virus was spreading in exponential fashion. Once the government imposed social distancing, the number of new cases leveled off. Now, at least according to official statistics, every day brings more news of existing patients who are healed than of patients who are newly infected. Yeah, every day brings more news of existing patients who are healed than of patients who are newly infected. So it would appear isolation, extreme isolation, quarantine works. A few other countries have taken energetic steps to increase social distancing before the epidemic reached devastating proportions. And it's interesting, isn't it, how these phrases come up? Social distancing. It's like, well, just stay at home. In Singapore, for example, the government quickly cancelled public events and installed medical stations to measure the body temperature of passers-by, while private companies handed out free hand sanitizer. As a result, the number of cases has grown much more slowly than in nearby countries. These three facts imply a simple conclusion. The coronavirus could spread with frightening rapidity, overburdening our healthcare system and claiming lives until we adopt serious forms of social distancing. This suggests that anyone in a position of power or authority, instead of downplaying the dangers of the coronavirus, should ask people to stay away from public places, cancel big gatherings, and restrict most forms of non-essential travel. Given that most forms of social distancing will be useless if sick people cannot get treated or afford to stay away from work when they are sick, the federal government should also take some additional steps to improve public health. It should take on the cost of medical treatment for the coronavirus, grant paid sick leave to stricken workers, promise not to deport undocumented immigrants who seek medical help, and invest in a rapid expansion of ICU facilities. That's very America specific, isn't it? And their health system, my God, is so grim, isn't it? For me, someone who, you more used to European models, and particularly the UK NHS. The past days suggest that this administration is unlikely to do these things well or quickly, although the administration signalled on Monday that it will seek relief for hourly workers, among other measures. Hence, the responsibility for social distancing now falls on decision makers at every level of society. So there you go. I won't read the whole thing because it becomes quite America specific there. But the big idea there, and an argument well made from Yasha Monk, the contributing writer at The Atlantic, who's the author of that piece, is that social distancing, in their view, is the only way to stop the coronavirus, and we must start immediately. Yes, it's one of those things, I think, whereby if we do it and it's been in vain, it will be better than not doing it. And that's that is a way of looking at this, isn't it? Is that it's better perhaps to do it than not do it, even though it will be the impact will be pretty huge. It will be tremendous. We're beyond that. I think the impact of this is huge, and we need to be figuring out not how to cling on to business as usual. I'm missing my parting thought now, but not how we cling on to business as usual and how we try and keep living as we are under these circumstances, but how we rapidly adjust to containing the spread, but also adjusting to the new way of life that it's bringing. So I'm sure we can continue this conversation in our social media group. I'll have to change the name, I think, from Portuguese Positive News to something else that's a little less Pollyanna, I suppose, and a little bit more practical and realistic. But do join me there. We're on Facebook on the live stream at 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll be back tomorrow with David Thomas from Safe Communities Portugal. And in the meantime, keep an eye on www.goodmorningportugal.com, where there is resources and updates about COVID, and our Twitter stream as well, My Portugal News. Take care of yourselves. But yes, of course, stay well, stay positive, and stay close to the ground. Stay at home. Take care. Bye for now.